Hey guys, I want to go over all things deadlifts today. Now, what we typically see and have are two very popular variations. Number one being a conventional style deadlift, and number two being that of a Romanian style deadlift, also called RDLs for short and sometimes even termed stiff leg or straight leg deadlift. Now, some people actually go running towards deadlifts and some people actually run away from deadlifts, but we want everybody to learn some type of deadlift or hip hinge movement pattern. So remember, as I was talking about last week, this is more of a hip hinge where it becomes more of a hip biased or hip dominant movement. But both deadlifts essentially are lower body pushing exercises that involve the hips. It's just that one may be better for some versus the other one. So first things first, conventional style deadlift. Okay, we're essentially lifting or pushing our feet into the floor to lift the object off the floor. Okay, so seeing me from the side view, if I just step into the barbell and squat down to get low enough to grab the bar and then stand tall, you can see that I had a significant amount of knee bend. So if the knee is bent more so than the hips, then it becomes more of a knee dominant exercise, which means we're using our quads and some of the other muscles in front of our body. Because we're actually driving the hips through to stand up, it still is a hip dominant exercise. It's just that some of the focus or attention then changes towards the quad. Now, this is by far, without a doubt, a stronger variation of a deadlift. So if you are someone that is relatively weak or is trying to improve their total body or lower body strength, this is more of a concentric muscle contraction focused exercise. So when we think concentric contraction, that essentially means that the muscles are shortening. It's a lot easier on the body, but it's also recruiting a ton of muscle fibers so that we're able to lift more weights. The eccentric lengthening or lowering phase is a lot harder to perform, and that's why we see a lot lower weights with the RDL when we get to it. Okay. The other thing that we have is that we're actually working through a full range of motion with the conventional style deadlift as opposed to an RDL. So if you look at a few reps of me performing this from the side, I'm going to simply drive the hips through and stand tall, and then go back down, tap the floor, drive the hips through and stand tall. One more set there, and back down, and there you have it. So because we actually have the weight going from the floor all the way up and then down again, you're getting a lot more range of motion out of it. Number two, or moving on to the Romanian style deadlift. Now, you essentially would be pulling the weight off of a squat rack. Obviously, you can use a box or a bench, anything at all. For this purpose, I'm just going to simply stand tall with the bar. But what this is more of a hip dominant or butt pushed back style deadlift. Okay, so by just seeing that, there's a lot more focus on improving hamstring flexibility and hamstring strength and glute strength when you stand tall. So if you are somebody with either unflexible or weak hamstrings, this may want to be your focus, because you are not going to get stronger by not staying consistent and working on some of those weaknesses. The other thing is that the range of motion is much, much shorter, because we don't have to go all the way down to the floor. And then I already mentioned the eccentric portion of the contraction is a lot more difficult and challenging on the body, and the tempo, the speed that you perform the exercise, is a lot slower. So if you think about it this way, whether I grab that barbell off of a rack or just simply stand tall with it, now I'll perform your RDL. So just simply pop the knees unlocked, and then the barbell actually drags down the thighs, over the knees, past the knees, onto the shin, and then I stand tall. Okay, so again, soft bend in the knees, pushing the butt way, way back, looking for that hamstring stretch at the very bottom, and then stand tall and drive the hips through. Okay, now that is more of your Romanian style deadlift. So again, focus on some of those key differences the next time you think about programming your deadlifts. Hope those tips help you. Keep getting stronger.